I just like love the thrill of being able to take like my favorite character from an animated series and bring them to life in the real world.
I just wanted to be those characters.
I now have the ability and the drive to like make that character come to life.
There is a huge community of passionate creatives who bring characters from comic books, television, video games, books, and anime to life through cosplay, short for costume play. From simple outfits to elaborate displays, these dedicated fans show off their costumes at conventions like PAX East in Boston, at events, and on social media, always finding new and unique ways to pay homage to the many different characters they love. Some even making a career out of cosplay, spending hours and hours making everything perfect.
It can take, honestly, a full day. It can take 3 weeks. It can take 4 months. And sometimes they can go on to a year.
I put so much time into it, and when I got to the convention, you know, people were taking pictures and they were asking me about how I did things. And I was asking them about how they did things. And I was like, oh, like this, where have these people been all my life? I found my tribe.
While the cosplay community brings together many fandoms from fiction, it is not immune to the discrimination and racism people face in the real world, and people of color have made it clear that they have a hard time feeling welcome in this space. As a cosplay fan myself, I've seen people of color being criticized for dressing as a character outside of their race, or sent racist comments on their photos. I talked to 5 local cosplayers to go over their experiences with bigotry in this corner of American culture and how it affects people of color.
Cosplay is awesome, it really is. But sometimes that same experience isn't the same for people of color.
Emmy Bott from New Bedford, Massachusetts, works for Ever After Storybook Entertainment, which brings princesses based on popular franchises to life for parties and events on Massachusetts' South Coast. She is an outspoken advocate for people of color in and outside of the cosplay community, and the characters she enjoys dressing as reflect her passion for social justice.
I really enjoy Esmeralda from The Hunchback of Notre Dame. She's very for justice and very vocal. Same thing with Princess Jasmine. I really like the characters that speak out against the social norm and strive to create change.
Her company includes people of color like herself who dress as characters of color from popular culture, like Moana and Mulan, but they also play the part of white characters and have been told many times that they should not. That exclusionary attitude carries over online, where many cosplayers of color have amassed huge followings with their elaborate and creative designs, but social media is far from a safe space for them.
The biggest challenge is definitely the racism, if I'm being honest, and everyone telling us that X character isn't black, or X character isn't African, or X character isn't whatever, and it's really frustrating because how do I respond to that?
Jennifer Williams from Lynn, Massachusetts, fell in love with cosplay after going to the convention Anime Boston in high school, and has a deep love for Japanese animation and the outlandish costumes the characters wear.
I fell in love with because there were so many giant, amazing costumes that I was seeing in person that I was just like, this is what people do in their free time. They make these costumes at home, spend weeks or months working on them, and then, show them off at these conventions. And I was just like, I want to do this.
And she has made it her passion for over a decade, amassing a following of tens of thousands of dedicated fans who love to see her bring characters to life. Unfortunately, a cosplayer of color has to deal with comments that go beyond just nitpicking a detail or two in the costume, and see the entire costume through the lens of a person's race.
A lot of the time, it'll either be the black version of this character, the hood version of this character, or the N-word version of this character. And it's frustrating because, we do our best to combat it. It makes us feel like we're not a part of the community. More so because, it doesn't happen to any other group within the community.
Cosplayers like Jennifer, who deal with racially charged and racist comments on social media, try their best to delete, block, and report them. But there's often too much to address at a time, and they say platforms like Instagram and Facebook often don't address reported incidents.
A lot of the issues and I guess harassment and racism that we deal with in our real lives and everyday lives is something that we can't just leave at the door when we go into the cosplay community or that we are cosplaying. Is something that kind of stays with us because since it is such a societal issue.
For cosplayers like Brian Lee from Malden, Massachusetts, dressing as a character is a way to escape the struggles that people of color face every day, which is one reason he focuses on rebellious anti-hero characters like Flynn Rider from Tangled.
There's always that one or two individuals that think that I'm some mainland Chinese person who's trying to undermine the capitalist system, or I am some sort of carrier of the virus.
Brian is Asian, and he says he's faced racism all of his life, and it's only increased during the pandemic. He has cosplayed as Disney princes at fundraising events, and has been told that a Chinese person like him cannot cosplay as a European prince.
Cosplay really is and should be a personal thing. The character is sort of a manifestation of an aspect of yourself. You really shouldn't have to worry about what other people think about your look.
Marcos Vilgrain from Manchester, New Hampshire is a cosplayer and photographer who loves dressing as heroes like Black Panther and Batman.
There have been so many times where kids like run up to me and like, oh my god, Black Panther, oh my god, Batman, and it's like they really think you're that character, and it's like, this is so awesome.
He says that while he's had to deal with comments from parents about a character not being black, the kids are just excited to see real-life versions of their favorite characters.
I see a lot of that when I do my Batman cosplay. Like, the kids won't see the color at all. Commenters will be like, Batman was never black, and I'm like, well, I don't care. I'm not the character, I'm Marcos as the character. So I'm like, well, this version's black. They mostly say stuff like, Bruce Wayne wasn't black, and I'm like, well, I'm not Bruce Wayne.
For a black cosplayer like Marcos, the conversation around his costume often revolves around race, which can be frustrating when it's positive or negative.
A lot of the times, I'll do like a white character, and like the first thing people will see is race. And it's not always in like a bad light, because some people are like, oh, it's so cool, a black person doing an anime character or something. I know they're not doing it on purpose, but it's just like the first thing they see.
Castro Eva Boat from Lowell, Massachusetts runs GiveWave Studios, which creates handmade props and accessories for other cosplayers. He was born and raised in Haiti and would dress in costume with his mother for Carnival, but he found a much bigger passion for cosplay after attending a convention after moving to America.
I can see my work in a crowd. Like, I can recognize stuff that I've done if people are wearing anything that I've made. That's really cool. I think that's one of the best parts about what I do. It's like seeing this stuff out in the wild.
He said he hasn't experienced direct racism for his own cosplay, but he said it is far too common to hear stories from his friends and see situations online. For example, a woman of color was recently targeted for cosplaying as an Asian character from the popular anime series Naruto on TikTok.
A person of color who's cosplaying Hinata from Naruto, and they were getting like a lot of hate because, Hinata is not black, like you shouldn't be cosplaying her. Well, Hinata's not white either, so like, what are you doing?
For this cosplayer, like others I spoke to, while he appreciates seeing people of color represented in media, his love for characters comes down to what they represent, not the color of their skin. I'm
still a very big fan of Superman. Like, when I hear the theme, like I get like that butterfly inside, because I was just like, it was a character that I idolized. When I saw Superman, I didn't really see the color of the character so much as like the character itself. Like, I like this person for what they represent and what they do.
Emmy is taking direct action by using her role as an influencer to get the word out about issues for people of color in fandom on social media platforms. She's an official partner on TikTok.
I'll use the influence and the platform that I have to speak, for those who don't have a voice yet, because everybody has a voice, or to represent people of color, and especially Afro-Indigenous people, and Afro-Latinas, and so on and so forth.
She also created CosFam Productions, a production team that aims to take ideas from people of color and bring them to life, and is currently working on a series called Pass the Cosplay Mic that lets people of color share their issues with racism in the community. There is a lot to talk about, from being typecast into cosplaying certain characters because they're a person of color, underrepresentation on the convention scene, and handling blatant racism in fandoms. Some big influencers in the community may avoid talking about these issues, but others face these challenges head on.
The cosplay community should be a community where people can just, go to get away from their daily struggles, just have a good time, make new friends, have great experiences. But if a large portion of the community isn't actually being able to have those experiences, there is an issue, and we need to work together to combat that and, stomp it out.
I would like them to stand up for people like us.
It does feel like there is more expected from people of color. People of color feel like they have to do so much more to just in general get the same reaction from their counterparts for like the same character. I hope that that's something that, can change at some point.
In the meantime, these cosplayers will continue to follow their passion because they have a love for these characters, the adventurers, the explorers, the heroes. And heroes never give up.
When I do cosplay and like race comes into it, sometimes I'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, I know, I get it, I'm black. But then there are other times that I'm like, yeah, I'm black and I'm cosplaying. Here it is. You know what I mean? Like, I'll take it as empowering regardless of if it's negativity or positive. Because like at the end of the day, I'm just gonna own it.